I'm your host, Cortney, and I'm here this week with Meera Jain, who is an environmental mom and eco-friendly educator.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. All right. Are we ready?
Let's get into it. While you're opening the champagne, I should take that cork from you if I could.
Really?
Yeah, they're actually recyclable at Whole Foods.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, cork is like they can reuse it basically, and so they have a little box at Whole Foods, so I save all my wine corks and I bring them
So
in.
you can't just put them in your regular recycling
Right.
bin, you gotta put them in a special bin.
I'll take it for you, no problem.
Okay, no worries. All right, thank you for that. I guess I won't let it fly. I'll
Let's break
keep
it.
hold of it.
Woo!
There you go.
Thank you.
We've already learned something. We haven't even poured the first glass yet.
First of many, I hope.
Right.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to cheers you. Thank you for having me.
Oops, I spilled a little bit. Cut off already. Just kidding. All right, cheers.
Thank you so much.
All right, so it's a new year, and I hope we all remember that report last year that came out late last year on the UN report that we basically have 11 years to get our shit together, or we're gonna end humanity. Yeah, basically. So I thought this would be a great time. So how did you get started in this eco-friendly lifestyle?
So I like to think that I was always eco-friendly, but I don't think I really knew what that meant necessarily. You know, I drive a hybrid car, and I was conscious of my waste, but and then I watched the documentary A Plastic Ocean, which is on Netflix. Yeah, it's an excellent one. And it just completely floored me. A, how little I knew, B, how little I was doing, and C, how much I thought I was doing compared to how much I should be doing. So that's kind of what got me started. And then I started this blog that I have on Instagram, and things have kind of snowballed in a great way from there.
What are the different challenges when you have kids? Like, obviously they're garbage creators, but you have so much less time. What are the challenges that you found to be the hardest, and how have you dealt with them?
So time and energy are definitely a big one. But you know, you work through it. I have a quote on my Instagram from another mom who's green, who wrote something to the effect of, being green is not hard if you have kids, because having kids is one of the hardest things you're ever going to do.
Exactly.
So although it's challenging, I think any mom can do it.
It can be done.
It can be done.
So what are the best tips that you have for moms to go green? Like, how can they get started?
Well, I definitely like to suggest take baby steps, because if someone kind of tries to do everything all at once, it can be really intimidating, and I think you're more likely to fail that way. And you know, you've got a husband probably, or potentially you've got a partner, and you've got some kids. You don't want to turn their lives upside down. So not only for yourself, but for your family, I think you should do it very gradually. The way I wanted to start were things that maybe were big steps, but take them very slowly. So cloth diapers was a big one for us. So I looked into the whole process. I thought, okay, am I going to go buy my own diapers? Am I going to try and look into a service? What kind of diapers do I want to do? And in the end, because I'm just very lucky with my situation, I was able to afford a cloth diaper service. That's what we went with. So yeah, we put our youngest daughter, she's about 1.5. We put her in cloth diapers every day, and she goes to daycare, and we work around it and we make it work. So that's a really good first step.
That's a big step, because you just go through so many diapers.
But I think that's why it's such a great step too.
Yeah.
Because you have such an ability to make an impact so quickly.
And then you gotta think about how many diapers you're going through and multiply that by like all the other moms.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
an insane amount of diapers. Like, I don't know how we're not filling up whole countries with dirty diapers.
We kind of are. And you know, in Toronto we're really lucky because they're compostable. So for anyone out there not putting their diapers in their compost, if you're in Toronto, please do that. But the shell on the outside is still plastic, and so it gets whirred around, and the compostable part of the plastic gets separated. So there is still that plastic that will be lying there. And you know, we've estimated that it'll take 200 to 1,000 years to biodegrade, or not even biodegrade, but to degrade.
Tiny made it longer than the 11 years we have to fix our
Well,
issues.
that's number one. And number two, we don't even really know that. That's based on scientific extrapolation, right? We don't
Exactly.
actually know that. So, I mean, it's mind-boggling to think about it.
So, are there products that you can get to help you live a more waste-free lifestyle?
I live and die by are my produce bags. They're to replace those little plastic bags that you put your fruits and veg in at the grocery store.
Okay.
So because those, most people take them, they put whatever they want in them, and then they take them home and they recycle them. And so if you think about that, that plastic has lasted you, 20 minutes? And then it's going, even if it's going to be recycled, it can only be recycled so many times. It is on our planet now, forever. So these produce bags are these little mesh bags with a drawstring. And you just use the exact same way. You put your produce inside. And then when you take them to the checkout, I just undo the drawstring a little bit so they can see the sticker inside. And then you put them in your reusable bags and you go. And then you throw them in the wash about once a month. And you just reduce so much plastic that way.
That's a really, really good idea. I'm definitely looking at picking some of those up, buying some reusable grocery bags and just sticking them inside and leaving them somewhere by the door that I can easily grab them on my way out the door.
Yeah, that's a really good way of thinking.
Ready to go.
But it becomes habit, which is the great thing. So, definitely leave them by the door. But now I always think to myself before I leave the house, okay, am I going to the grocery store? What do I need? Kind of thing. And it becomes your way of life. And so
you got to form the habit first.
Yeah.
So make it easy for yourself to form the habit, and then you can move forward just going on autopilot with it.
Exactly. But you're right. You have to get the habit in there first, and whatever you have to do that is important.
So besides the reusable produce bags, are there any other products?
Yeah. So what else did we buy? We bought reusable straws. They're made out of metal. Because as you probably all know, straws go straight to the landfill. And they often get washed into our oceans, and there's some pretty horrendous things I've seen with regards to straws. I don't know if you guys have seen the video of a turtle getting a straw pulled out of his nose or her nose.
Yeah, and you know what, you guys, those turtles, I dive, I'm a diver, and those turtles are one of my favorite things to see. They are so almost majestic, like an eagle under the water.
They really are.
Almost.
They're
It's
so
amazing
graceful,
to see, and they're
I'm a diver
so
too.
endangered. Really?
Yeah.
I love them. Sharks, turtles. Favorite.
Brave mama.
I love sharks.
Yeah, so reusable straws are a great way to reduce waste. And then this may sound really obvious, but a reusable water bottle and carrying that around with you everywhere ends up saving you a lot of plastic as well. And a reusable coffee cup.
Reusable coffee cups. How many coffee cups are we actually going through per day?
1 million a day.
In the country?
In the country.
Province?
No, sorry, in the city.
Just in Toronto alone.
1 million.
That is disgusting.
I know, it's disgusting.
Because then you have to think every other city is also probably going through the same amount.
That's 1 in 4 people buying a coffee every day. And think about, when we think about things that are recycled that aren't supposed to be recycled, coffee cups are almost number 1, for sure.
So you cannot recycle.
You cannot recycle them because they're paper lined with plastic. And so they cannot separate the two materials to recycle them separately. So they have to go in the garbage.
Everybody right now, if there's one step that you're going to take this year to be more eco-friendly, go get yourself reusable coffee cups and bring them. I think Starbucks even gives a discount if you bring a reusable.
Starbucks gives you 10 cents, Tim Hortons gives you 10 cents, Aroma gives you 10% off.
That is amazing.
So there's some incentive, and plus you just feel good.
It doesn't sound like a lot either, 10 cents, but you gotta think about how many you're buying.
That'll add up.
It'll add up.
$50, right?
It'll add up.
Yeah.
Okay. So what other things do people think that they can recycle, but they actually can't?
Black plastic is a big one.
Okay.
So you know how when you go grab some takeout, they often have that black plastic bottom and then the clear plastic on top. So the way our recycling is sorted is it's recycled on a black conveyor belt. And so the scanners are, I'm not sure what the technology is, but they can't distinguish between the conveyor belt and the black plastic. And so it gets thrown in the trash. So we're unable to recycle black plastic. So if you think about coffee cup lids or takeout containers or anything really, that's black and plastic, it cannot be recycled. So, and actually by putting it in the recycling, it causes a lot more, it uses a lot more resources because either people are having to go in there and pull it out, or machines are pulling it out, or If there's a huge contamination of your recycling, then we just throw it in the dump anyway. So you can
whole thing just goes.
Yeah.
So it's a waste.
Yeah. And then food contamination is a big thing for recycling as well. You know, you have your salsa jar, you have the great intentions of recycling it, but you didn't rinse it out. And you left the cap off. And so now there's salsa on this paper, and now there's salsa on this plastic. And, you know, it's not viable for us to.
So if you put the lid on and don't rinse it out, can they recycle it, or does it go in the garbage?
No, they'll throw that in the garbage then.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess the message is wash your recyclables and get rid of all the food. If it's a takeout container, get rid of the food. If it's, like I said, a jar of some sort, get rid of the food first. Give it a good rinse. It doesn't have to be like crystal clean with soap, but give it a really good rinse before you put it in the recycling.
So what about food waste? How does wasting food kind of affect emissions? Because people think, oh, it will just compost itself.
Yeah, that's a really clever question, actually. So what happens to food or other biodegradable things in the landfill is they get covered and covered and covered, and so they don't get the oxygen they need to decompose properly.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is they end up releasing methane, which is, yeah, well, it smells, first of all, but it's also a greenhouse gas that's about 20 times more stronger than carbon dioxide. And so whatever we're doing to our atmosphere, it's happening 20 times faster with food waste that's going into the landfill. So just another PSA, compost if you can.
So now we know what happens when we put our food in the garbage, but how can we avoid having food that we have to put in the garbage? Like, how can we eliminate the amount of food we end up wasting to begin with?
Right, absolutely. It's so important. For me, the big thing is meal planning. Mm-hmm. And it did take me a good, couple hours to get this the way I wanted it, but I made a meal plan, and I have 4 weeks. I would like to expand it, but I've got 4 weeks of vegetarian meals. We eat vegetarian, and I just choose one for the week. It's compiled with all the groceries I need for that week. I go grab those things, whether I'm going to the grocery store or the bulk store or the bakery, and I grab all my materials, and then I have what I need for the week. And then I don't end up wasting anything, because I don't just say, oh, green beans are on sale, I should just pick some of those up and then not use them. Or, oh, I bought too much spinach this time, I thought I'd need more. That kind of stuff doesn't happen when you meal plan, because you're tailoring your grocery shopping to exactly what you need.
Right, so it might take you a little bit extra time to plan it out, but in the end, you're saving yourself more time as well as money.
Time, money, and the planet. Right, yeah, so exactly. It's like a lot of things that are eco. A little bit of time up front, long-term benefits go on forever. Absolutely.
Well, cheers to that.
All right.
The report that the UN released late last year kind of said that the individual isn't fully responsible, and the biggest culprits are government and big businesses. Mm-hmm. So what can we do as a consumer and as a citizen to kind of push that we want some change?
Right. I'm so glad you touched on that, because it's really important. I think as an individual, we have this feeling of helplessness, but there's so much we can do, because we are the ones that drive government, and we are the ones that drive big businesses. So with government, it's all about using your voice, and that's something I'm working on a lot. Whether it's signing a petition, writing an email, just letting the government know how they're doing or what's important to you. And then in terms of big businesses, I'm all about voting with your dollar. Your choices tell us what kind of world you want to live in. So, I'm on this whole anti-Nestle thing right now. So I'm not going to be buying Nestle products, because I don't want to give them the message that what they're doing is okay. If they're stealing water from people, that's not okay. They're causing a lot of our litter, that's not okay. But if I continue to buy Kit Kats, even though they taste good, then I'm not sending them the right message. So I'm just trying to be a very conscious consumer.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So just because government and big businesses are the main contributors to excess waste and emissions doesn't mean that us as individuals cannot make a difference.
Absolutely. By
doing some of the small steps that Meera has talked about today. You might be thinking, well, I'm just one person, how much difference can I make? But if everybody kind of comes together to make small changes, we can make a big difference. As well, it will send a message to businesses and companies that they need to make the change too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, if people want to know more, or if people are already doing the things we talked about today and they want more information on what else they can do, where can they find you?
So I'm on Instagram at the Green Mum, MUM, and I'd love it if you would check me out, follow me, send me a DM. I would just love to, keep this conversation going with you.
All right. So you can find the link to her social media, the Green Mum, with a U.
Yes, that's right.
Mum with a U. In the description below, as well as the links to all of my social media. And we'll hope to see you next week on another edition of Motherhood Uncorked, because that is the end of this week.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Cheers.